5 days, 7,000 canceled flights, and $500 million lost.
Delta's CEO says last month's outage cost the airline $500 million, thousands of flights to be canceled. He says other airlines accepted the company's help and recovered much faster.
This was the chaos that paralyzed Delta Airlines in 2024, while its competitors recovered in hours. The most awarded airline in the industry, exposed like never before. And yet, this same company transported more than 200 million passengers in 2025, recorded over $61 billion in revenue, and was named by J.D. Power as America's best. And the strangest part is that Delta doesn't fly the most routes, nor does it carry the greatest number of passengers, but it's the champion of premium air travel. Behind this contradiction lies a strange strategy: aging aircraft with an average age of 15 years, overwhelming capacity constraints, and a confusing decision to add Boeing 787s to an Airbus-dominated fleet. The cracks are showing, and the American aviation landscape may begin to shift. Aviate has reached 20,000 subscribers passionate about aviation. Our sincere thanks for your support. And if you're new here, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. In 2008, during one of the worst crises in commercial aviation, Delta completed its merger with Northwest Airlines, creating the world's largest airline at that time. The merger incorporated strategic hubs in Atlanta, Detroit, Minneapolis, and Seattle, creating a network of connections covering virtually all relevant domestic and international markets in the United States. Atlanta, in particular, became the heart of the operation. Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport controls approximately 80% of Delta's flight capacity. With more than 1.1 million seats scheduled monthly, the Atlanta hub surpasses any competitor by wide margins. But this strategy brought challenges. By concentrating operations in a few key airports, Delta created single points of failure. Any disruption in Atlanta, whether due to weather, air traffic control issues, or technological failures, can paralyze the entire network. And that's exactly what happened in July 2024. On July 19, 2024, a faulty CrowdStrike Falcon software update caused a global failure that crashed approximately 8.5 million computers. The incident was classified by the New York Times as the largest IT collapse in history. Airlines around the world canceled thousands of flights. American Airlines recovered its operations in hours. United Airlines normalized in 2 days. Delta took 5 full days. During this period, Delta canceled more than 7,000 flights and affected 1.3 million passengers. CEO Ed Bastian estimated the total cost at $500 million, including $380 million in lost revenue and $170 million in customer compensation costs, hotel refunds, and crew expenses. The company had to manually restart 40,000 servers. Why did Delta suffer more than its competitors? The answer reveals the complexity hidden behind operational efficiency. Delta had invested heavily in CrowdStrike and Microsoft. Approximately 60% of its critical applications depended on these systems, including redundant backups. While other airlines had more fragmented or less integrated systems, Delta had optimized for efficiency in normal times. The problem is that this optimization created a single point of catastrophic vulnerability.
Once again, the concentration of operations in Atlanta amplified the problem, with hundreds of flights connecting through the hub and crews scattered across the country. Repositioning personnel and aircraft became a logistical nightmare. The efficiency that makes Atlanta profitable in normal operations transformed into a bottleneck during the crisis. Delta sued CrowdStrike, seeking to recover $550 million in damages. CrowdStrike responded, arguing that liability was contractually limited and that the slow recovery resulted from Delta's antiquated IT infrastructure. This incident was just one example of the many problems Delta faces, and one of the biggest is still to come. Delta currently operates 986 aircraft, the third largest commercial fleet in the world. This fleet is intentionally diverse. It includes Airbus, Boeing, Bombardier, and Embraer. The average age of the fleet is approximately 15 years, above the industry average and the second oldest among major American carriers. Why operate aging aircraft? The answer is simple: capital costs. Delta developed a business model that favors used or slightly older aircraft. By purchasing or leasing second-hand jets, the company avoids the astronomical upfront costs of new aircraft. The Delta Tech Ops division, one of the world's largest maintenance, repair, and overhaul operations. But there's a hidden cost. Delta's Boeing 767s have an average age of 28 years for the 767-300ER and 24 years for the 767-400ER. The oldest 767 in the fleet, with registration N171DN, was delivered to Delta in June 1990 and has already accumulated over 147,000 flight hours and 22,000 takeoff and landing cycles. These aircraft require intensive and expensive maintenance. More importantly, they consumed significantly more fuel per seat mile than newer models. Efficiency has become critical. Fuel represents one of the largest operational expenses of any airline, especially on long-haul routes. Delta announced plans to retire all 767-300ERs by 2030, removing them from international routes by 2028. The 767-400ERs will remain in service until at least 2030. But who will replace these aircraft? The answer came on January 13, 2026. Delta ordered up to 60 Boeing 787-10 Dreamliners, with initial delivery expected in 2031. This decision is more significant than it appears. In recent years, Delta had become almost exclusively an Airbus customer for wide-bodies. The company operates 76 Airbus A330s, 36 A350-900s, and has orders for 20 A350-1000s, with deliveries beginning in 2026. So why add Boeing 787s to an already Airbus standardized fleet? The official answer is diversification and seat cost optimization. The 787-10 is the largest variant of the Dreamliner family, capable of carrying up to 336 passengers in a dense configuration. Although it has less range than the 787-8 or version 9, its per-seat economies are excellent. For domestic routes and to South America, the 787-10 offers superior operating margins. Dan Janke, Delta's CFO, added that the new wide-bodies will deliver a profit margin increase of up to 10 percentage points over the 767s just in fuel and cargo capacity increases alone. But the story isn't that simple. Adding a new aircraft type to a fleet creates massive operational complexity. Delta will have to train pilots and flight attendants to operate the 787. Its mechanics will need certification for the Gen X engines from GE Aerospace that will equip the aircraft, in addition to spare parts inventory. Operationally, this means transition costs. Delta already faces capacity limitations at key hubs like New York JFK and LaGuardia. Slot-controlled airports operate under use-it-or-lose-it rules. Airlines must use at least 80% of their slots or lose access rights. Delta has faced accusations of slot squatting, maintaining slots with low-demand flights just to retain future access. In August 2025, Delta reduced about 20% of flights in New York, taking advantage of an FAA waiver that allowed cutting frequencies without losing slots. The strategy was to reallocate aircraft and crews to hubs with higher projected demand, as was the case with the increase in Austin, Texas. So why does Delta continue to be perceived as the best airline in the United States despite these dilemmas? It's in operational consistency. In 2024, Delta recorded an on-time performance rate of 83.46%, being recognized for the fifth consecutive time by Cirium as the most punctual airline in North America. The company won the Platinum Award for Operational Excellence 4 years in a row. It canceled only 0.9% of flights throughout the year and delayed less than 17%, according to FlightAware data. J.D. Power ranked Delta as #1 in passenger satisfaction in first class and business class and premium economy categories in 2024. The study, which surveyed 9,582 passengers, measured satisfaction across 7 dimensions: airline staff, digital tools, ease of travel, level of trust, in-flight experience, pre/post-flight experience, and value for money paid. Ed Bastian, Delta CEO, revealed that 1 in 3 Delta employees was hired in the last 3 years. This massive investment in people explains why Delta is the only airline on Fortune's 100 Best Companies to Work For list in 2024. But there's another critical factor: the diversified revenue strategy. In 2024, 57% of Delta's total revenue came from premium products and loyalty programs. The Emirates Express partnership generated nearly $2 billion in remuneration, growing 14% year-over-year, driven by acceleration in spending in card acquisitions. Cargo revenue grew 32% in the fourth quarter of 2024, with annual growth of 14%. This revenue diversification reduces exposure to demand crises in specific segments. What does all this mean for Delta's future? Well, the incorporation of the Boeing 787-10 is a long-term bet. With deliveries beginning in 2031, Delta's planning a decade ahead. Delta Airlines projected 2025 as a record year, and official results confirmed its strong performance. The company recorded a pre-tax profit of approximately $5 billion, earnings per share above $7, and free cash flow exceeding $4.6 billion, marking one of the best financial performances in its century-long history. But the risks are real. The operational complexity of integrating a new wide-body family into an already diverse fleet can generate temporary inefficiencies, at least for a period. With the retirement of the 767s, Delta's smallest widebody will now be the Airbus A330-900neo, with about 280 seats, more than 30% more than the 767-300ER. Routes that previously worked with 767s may not sustain A330neos or 787-10s with good occupancy, forcing Delta to reassess its international network or accept empty seats in smaller markets. The concentration in Atlanta is a double-edged sword. For summer 2025, Delta plans to restore capacity above pre-pandemic levels using larger aircraft so that 87% of flights in Atlanta will be operated by mainline jets, although the total number of departures will still be about 100 below 2019. But this upgauge strategy creates vulnerability. Larger aircraft mean more passengers at risk during disruptions. The broader lesson is that perceived excellence and operational dominance are not the same thing. Delta has built a solid reputation based on consistency, investment in people, revenue diversification, and premium customer experience. But this excellence doesn't eliminate fundamental trade-offs. Operating aging aircraft reduces capital costs, but increases maintenance and fuel expenses. Concentrating operations in dominant hubs maximizes efficiency in normal times, but creates systemic vulnerability during crises. Investing heavily in integrated technology improves daily performance, but creates single points of failure. Adding diversity to the wide-body fleet offers strategic flexibility, but introduces operational complexity and transition costs. Delta Airlines proves that being the best doesn't mean being the biggest, but it also proves that being the best means facing decisions that few notice and navigating complexities that few understand.